Awesome. Welcome to the second session of 36 of our Everything They Didn't Teach You in Real Estate School. Today, we're going to be talking about time mastery and daily structure. And this is a really important topic because at the end of the day, we can be in the right mindset to grow our businesses. We can have the greatest plan, all the things that we want to do. And if we don't have an actual legitimate process to organize our time, to structure our days, structure our weeks, structure our months, doesn't really matter what the plans are, we're not going to be able to kind of achieve them, right? So let's kind of talk through today from our perspective, what does mastery of your calendar look like? What does the daily structure look like? And specifically, the first thing that we're going to try and get rid of is what I would call is the busy trap. So have you ever felt sometimes, maybe leading up to last week when we got all you guys energized about your businesses, that sometimes we just get in that habit where we feel like we're doing work, we're busy, we're working, but we're just kind of like, it's like quicksand. We're treading water, right? I don't know the right way to say it. We're almost like swimming against, the current to some extent, right? We're trying hard, we're busy, but like we're not really making any progress. We don't have either the success that we're seeing with those activities. We're not seeing the building of a business, right? So if we're having to wake up every single day and put in the same amount of effort to get those leads as we did the day before, then we're really not building anything. We just have ourselves a job called sales. So what we're going to try and do today is make sure that, at least in our first part of this module, that we're not just working to work, we're working with efficacy. It's okay to cringe. If you feel this slide in your heart, this class is for you. And so let's just think about how often we've had this day. I know I've had this day. So I'm not trying to say that everyone's perfect, but let's see if anyone's ever had this day where you wake up at 8 in the morning. By the way, if you can sleep till 8 and you're in this business, I'm really impressed by you. I don't know how you sleep that well, but that's a whole nother issue. So let's say you work up, you get your cup of coffee, you walk your dog, you're online, you're deciding to work around 8 o'clock. Maybe you got to get breakfast. You take another dog walk, you're checking the news, whatever's going on. We scroll through social media, we answer some texts to kind of get our day going. And all of a sudden we wake up from our phones after our doom scrolling and it's 9:30 and we got to make some calls. But it's 9:30 and I've got a call at 10. If I start making calls now, I'm probably, I don't want to get caught in a conversation that I have to end because I've got this lender call at 10. So yeah, maybe I won't make those calls right now. Then you talk to your lender. And by the way, we love our lenders, especially Dom. Dom is a great lender. And sometimes spending 45 minutes talking to your mortgage broker about a deal that may or may not close, especially when you're not talking about generating leads, how is that going to help you find new business? So now all of a sudden it's 11 o'clock in the morning and we finally decide we're going to make some phone calls. We probably make a few of them, but it's 11:30 noon and now I'm hungry. Plus, Scout needs another walk. And so we go do that. Then a showing request comes in because now I got to show my one client that I have. I'm back at my desk a couple hours later, but I'm tired. There's a lot of traffic on I-25 or 36 if you're Brian. And all of a sudden it's 5 o'clock and I realize, holy crap, everyone's home. I lost my opportunity to do lead gen today. But yet I told myself that today was a great day. Or maybe my accountability partner, my wife, or whoever I come home to, who I work for, today was a day. Look, we made 3 calls. We showed a home. We talked to a mortgage guy. Is that a full day of work? For some people, it is. If you're trying to close 2 transactions a year, this is a full day of work. So let's talk about the difference between activity and productivity. And honestly, this is where every sales professional, this is not a real estate problem. So as you're thinking about this, just know, this is not you. I'm going to pick on Brian because he's already nodding. So since Brian is already self-declared and self-proclaimed to the group that this might resonate with him, we're going to pick on Brian today. We're going to take the pressure off Noah. We're going to pick on Brian. And so, I think there's a difference here between activity and productivity, right? Where activity is more aligned with reactivity, right? And being reactive in your business is not a way to grow it. If all we're doing is reacting to things, how do we grow? How do we build? How do we plan for the future? So being productive is much more the angle that we're trying to go. So if you look at your calendar and you're feeling like, hey, every time you get a text come in, you got to respond. If you feel like, and by the way, I think Freddie would wish that I behave that way sometimes. But if you kind of work whenever you're inspired, oh, I feel like it or I don't. If your lead gen is dependent on your mood that day, right? If you are taking time doing tasks because you're just trying to figure, like, you got half an hour, you got a couple emails to send, we're just going to take the time because we have it, right? If the lead gen isn't part of our daily day, if we don't really know what we're going to, if we wake up on a Tuesday in real estate and don't have a plan for what we're going to do that day, or if we're exhausted and we don't have the results to prove it. I'll be honest, when I first started my license 10 years ago, I was in a much worse spot than every single person on this call, and that I had 6 people in my CRM. 6. I only had 6 people in the entire state that would pick up my phone call. So my day was 4 hours of lead gen and then 3 coffee appointments or beers after that every day. So when I got home at 7:00 at night, I was really tired. Now, I might not have had a bunch of deals going, but I made my 20 contacts on the phone. I had 3 great networking appointments, then yielded 6 new connections for me. And I knew that if I did that same day every single day for 6 months, I was going to get business. And guess what happened? So we got to shift our mindset from doing it when we feel like it to doing it because it's our business, right? Because it's fun, because this is how we make money. So productive people, not active people, but productive people, they batch into focus blocks. So we time block. We do this all the time, rain or shine. Brian, we will permit you the powder day every now and then. But rain or shine, you got to work. Every now and then you get a powder day. Okay, that's the one weather event that you're okay to peace out on every now and then. But your tasks fit within predefined windows, right? So if you know what you need to do that day, you've got that time set. So we fit the tasks to the time, right? Tasks get fit into our time instead of the time to the tasks, right? The lead gen is the first block. It's the thing we do every single day. We know exactly what every hour is going to hold, or we expect to know what every hour is going to hold. We're going to measure success by those tasks that actually lead our business forward. And frankly, you can finish really early with really clear results if you get more organized around your time. And so today we're just going to be talking about that shift and how you can basically work the same hours with just wildly different outcomes as you kind of go through this. Now, before we jump into kind of the rest of the session, I just want to be very clear, right? How, when you're thinking about even more than a plane, isn't a rocket kind of an extreme version of a plane, right? So those giant rockets that SpaceX and NASA and all those things that they launch, what percentage of fuel do you think so like, let's just say it's 100% fuel and these like giant, they're basically bombs, right? It's like a little capsule on top of a giant thing of rocket fuel, right? What percentage of that rocket fuel do you think is spent getting that space shuttle from the launch pad into orbit versus orbit to wherever it's going? Do you guys have any idea? Just to get a space shuttle from launch pad to orbit around the Earth. Any idea?
I'm going to say because we got inertia, right?
So Freddie gets 70%. Freddie, honestly, man, it's been a while since my aerospace background. Dom says 90, Dom. I was going to go 90. So what's interesting here, right, is like because of Brian Avery and momentum and inertia, right, it takes more energy. We need to accelerate, right? Newton's second law, if you really want to get really nerdy today, force equals mass times acceleration, right? If we need to go from 0 to 100,000 miles an hour or whatever, right, and we have a really heavy thing, doesn't that take a lot more force to get the acceleration up, right? Whereas if we are already lighter, because we're already in orbit, so we've already burned a huge amount of our fuel, so aren't we lighter, right? And by the way, isn't the force that we need to get a space shuttle from like orbit to moon less than it is from space shuttle 0 to 100,000 miles? The need for fuel goes down dramatically. And the more elegant part is that if you have your trajectory correct, in theory, you could slingshot around the mountain and come back to Earth like they did in Apollo 13 without any fuel whatsoever. So it takes more energy to get your business off the ground than it does to keep it going. And if we're going to be talking, Matt can speak to this. Matt, as an agent, has been doing this for 9 years religiously. He can speak to this. So for those people, this is why most agents don't get off the ground, because they want to live the life and do the things that you have to earn after 5 or 6 years, right? They want to have the ability to receive phone calls. They want to have the ability to show homes all the time. They want to have the ability to just record social media. They want to have the ability to play golf when they want. Like they want all those things, and they're not willing to spend the energy that it takes to get off the ground. So as long as we understand that we are going to be less efficient with respect to our energy, right? So when we're starting up our businesses, it will take more activity per result because our activity is the force that we're applying on our business. Whereas once we get that business up and running, and now we're cruising or we're in orbit or whatever, right? Now, if we apply the same amount of force to our business, what happens? Exponential results, right? So what we're trying to do right now is get you guys in the habit of applying that exponential result and applying that same force. So that way you understand that if we just get in the habit of applying the same force every single time, then over time, you're going to start to see exponential results, because what will end up happening is you're going to go from 0 to something to more, because all you're doing is applying the same force with less and less inertia working against you. And what does that mean? You accelerate faster and faster. That leads to growth. Are we on the same page? Does that make sense?